Mazda was breaking sales records last year, and so far in 2025, they've been breaking monthly sales records as well. That is until now. If we go back to April, they were up 21% compared to April of 2024. But May's numbers just came in, and you're not going to believe what is happening to Mazda. Essentially, Mazda in April was up 20%. May they went down 20% from the year prior. How is this possible? Well, we know it has to be tariff related. There's no other way to explain this. But we're going to get into which vehicles are doing well, which are not. I'll have to make another video on Subaru, Hyundai, and Kia. Their numbers are in as well. And make sure to check out Honda's numbers that I hit yesterday, Honda and Acura. Acura really is surviving, not because of their core models or bread and butter, but because of their new additions like the ZDX and ADX. It's really strange. But we're going to get into Mazda today, guys. If you're excited to discuss today's news, maybe not excited to see Mazda fall off a cliff from one month to the next, but if you're excited for today's news, make sure to smash that like button. I appreciate that. You know, Mazda has a bright-ish future in front of them. Mazda's CX-5 is getting redesigned. This is the big one for them. Now, again, we don't know what tariffs are going to be, but the CX-5 is only built in Japan. So that may be good. It may be bad, just depending on what the political landscape is when that vehicle gets launched, the redesigned CX-5. Now, Mazda only makes one vehicle stateside, and that is a CX-50. About 80% of their cars come in mainly Japan, but they're also supplemented by a plant down in Mexico with the Mazda 3 and the Mazda CX-30 volume. Despite them dropping like a rock this past month in May, they are still up 6% from the same time last year, which means they're on record pace. But we know the trajectory for the rest of the year is anything but predictable. I'm not going to say that they're going to break last year's sales record. I think their sales are going to keep being negative unless something drastic happens where tariffs are off the table for Japanese imports, but I highly doubt it. With 27 selling days in May compared to 26 the year prior. Guys, so this is even worse. All right, this is sales volume. So sales volume is down 18.6%, but they had an extra day to sell in May compared to last year. And so the daily selling rate here is nearly 22% negative. Yowzers. Their CPO sales is doing quite well, and CPO is one that, like, Mazda's the only one that reports on CPO. I just find that fascinating. If you don't know what CPO is, certified pre-owned. Here are the highlights. Best ever May sales for CX-70. Well, it's only been on sale for like a year, so not a surprise there. And it's the second best May CPO with 6782. All right, so when your highlights include CPO sales, and there are no highlights for Mazda right now, unless you're in Mazda Canada. Right. Mazda Canada is up 15% compared to May last year, but you got to keep in mind, Canada doesn't have tariffs on imports from Japan. So that changes. I mean, it's just completely different ballgame north or south of the border, because in Mexico as well, they were increased in sales of 9% compared to last May. And this is the first time I think I've seen Mazda include Colombia. We're now including Mazda Colombia. Now, Colombia is not a part of North America, but I'm all for more information here. Mazda Colombia is up 41% compared to last year. Year-to-date sales there is up 33%. All right, individual sales here. Pretty much all of Mazda volume is going to be affected, I would assume, by tariffs. Now, the Mazda 3 is up on the year from the sedan perspective. They're up on a volume basis actually on the Mazda 3 this month. So Mazda 3 is kind of hanging in there. I should say the sedan. The hatchback is just getting destroyed. I would assume most of the hatchbacks are coming in from Japan, but I'm not 100% sure. All right, but the hatchback volume is very, very low. It's more than less than half, I should say, than the Mazda 3 sedan. Mazda 3 is hanging in there, but to put things in perspective, Mazda 3 so far has sold 15,000 units. If we go back to Honda yesterday, the Civic has sold 108,000 $15,000 for the Mazda 3 and $108,000 for the Civic. MX-5 Miata. Wow. I thought it was doing okay. It was doing okay. Look at this. It was up 9%. Well, it was up more than that this year. And the hardtop, the RF model, is doing really poorly. All right. But even the soft top last month just took a nosedive, down 63% on a volume basis. CX3, rest in peace. CX30, minus 50% compared to last May. Oh my goodness gracious. Why? In April, if we go back to Mazda sales in April, the CX-30 was down as well. So I don't know what's going on with the CX-30, to be honest. Maybe the market is just not there for it. Maybe they were pumping out too much. Maybe they were incentivizing it too much. And maybe they would rather push other volume like the CX-5 and the CX-50. But the CX-5, look at this volume. It's down 2% on the year, but the month of May, minus 27%. CX-50, this is maybe the only bright spot for Mazda. I mean, the Mazda 3 sedan's doing okay. But the CX-50, the only one made in the United States, it's up 40% on the year. It's up about 15% on the month of May. All right. And the CX-50, remind you guys, it has the available hybrid technology from the RAV4. However, I don't know what's going to happen to the hybrid technology in it because it is using the 2.5 liter 4th gen hybrid, but the RAV4 with the new generation coming out later this year is moving to the 5th generation that the Camry uses. So I don't know if the CX-50 is going to get that generational bump from Toyota's hybrid 4th to 5th gen upgrade. We'll see. I hope it does. That would be fantastic, but I wouldn't be surprised if Toyota's like, no, we're going to keep the advantage, have better efficiency, better power than what you're going to have on that older 2.5 4th gen hybrid. CX-70. Well, I guess this is a bright spot, but look, it just went on sale last May. It sold 136 units last May. It just went on sale in 2024, the CX-70. So this is not really a highlight, right? Remember we went up to the highlights, second best CPO, and they should have said that the CX-50 is doing well. That should have been the highlight, not the CX-70 here, because the CX-70, that's misleading to say that it had its best month ever because it really wasn't on sale last May, the only other May it's been on sale for. It's a quarter. The CX-70 sales volume is a quarter of the CX-90. The CX-90 took a nosedive, minus 15% for the month, but it is still up 35% for the year. Yes, this is down a little bit, but look, now that the CX-70 is here, so if you combine the CX-90 and the CX-70, it's 5,100 units, which is more than the 4,600 units of just the CX-90 last year. So it's, the large platform vehicles are doing better this month of 2025 compared to last 2024's May. Overall, cars are down 25%. Their SUVs, which they call trucks, down 21%. And the crazy thing is they had one extra day to sell and they were still down 19% on a volume basis and nearly 22% on a DSR, daily selling rate basis. What the future for the rest of the year for Mazda is going to be, I have no idea. And one of my colleagues who knows a little bit about Mazda, they told me that the CX-5 has been delayed. Who knows? Maybe 6 more months. So if it was supposed to be unveiled, it could still be unveiled at the Japan Mobility Show. That's my guess. That would be fantastic, actually. Could be unveiled there. And then availability might not be till late spring, early summer of 2025. Watch my CX-5 review of late last year. It is still an unbelievably good crossover. It's one of my favorite in the segment. The only thing it struggles with is efficiency and seat comfort. Outside of that, it's just so pleasant. It's so luxurious for the segment. And it's fun to drive, actually, for a crossover compared to its rivals anyway. So CX-5, we want a hybrid on it, but at least in the meantime, you're able to get the CX-50 hybrid Where is it at? Right here. A CX-50 hybrid is going to carry the load, and that's perfectly fine. It's just that the CX-5, I'm so interested to see how Mazda does hybrids different than Toyota. The CX-5 will not, in theory, share anything with Toyota's hybrid technology. Maybe they surprise. Maybe they're like, yeah, we just decided to do the RAV4 hybrid. And that would be okay because the RAV4 hybrid's great. All right. But Mazda, they do things their own way. All right. Look at their large crossovers, a rear wheel drive biased inline 6 or plug-in hybrid inline 4. They're so rewarding, so beautiful inside and out. They're so fun to drive. And they really compete. The only competitors to them, really, the large platform would be something like from BMW or Volvo or something. Like there's just very few, if any, direct competitors to them within the mainstream market. All right. I just drove the new Infiniti QX60 refresh. And like I would take a Mazda CX-90 and save a lot of money and have a better experience for the most part. The CX-90 doesn't do everything better than the Infiniti QX60, but it is fantastic. Like it is so much fun to drive. It's so much more responsive. The powertrain's better, and the driving mechanics are just night and day compared to something like a QX60. And so I wanted to finish up with this breaking news from Mazda and Hans Greimel over at Automotive News. Mazda to build first EV in Japan. Well, look, Toyota's building all their EVs over there for now until the 3-row Highlander EV comes out sometime in the near future. I don't even know if it's near anymore. It might be a couple of years still from now. Anyways, Mazda's building its first EV in Japan. They're betting on a flexible factory to beat tariffs. There's no beating tariffs. They're going to get beat down by them. They already are. Now, remember they have the EZ60 that is available in China. This thing is beautiful. And if they just essentially come out this same styling, but make it in Japan instead of China for the United States market or whatever markets they want to sell it in, that would be welcome too. That will start in 2027. No rush. Honestly, no rush because EVs right now, with the political landscape as well as the EV demand in the United States, they're actually fine. They're actually did the right thing and waiting to come out with EVs, at least in America. Now, the Chinese market, it's a different ballgame over there. They have 2 EVs over there, a sedan and an SUV already. And this EZ60, I heard, got 20,000 pre-orders like the first day. So Mazda's doing okay with their EVs over there in China. So Mazda's secret weapon is a new ultra-flexible production process that allows them to seamlessly slide EVs in the same line with gasoline, diesel, hybrid, and plug-in hybrid vehicles. Yesterday, we also talked about a similar situation with Honda at the Marysville Auto Plant. The Integra TLX and Accord are all down because Honda's reworking that plant so they can seamlessly blend EVs and hybrids into the production line without any hiccups. And so, while having a flex line instead of a dedicated EV line, Mazda says this allows them to slash investments by 85% and cut production lead time by 80%. This is the way. A dedicated EV line isn't necessary because our lines can already accommodate mixed production, says Hironaka-san, Managing Executive Officer in charge of product engineering. And Hans Greimel got a June 4th factory tour. All right, so this is hot off the press. This plant is at the cutting edge of Mazda's manufacturing. And my friend David Chow, he just got back from Japan. He toured Mazda's plants. And he always has incredible things to say about Mazda and their manufacturing prowess and their quality manufacturing. They essentially build their vehicles to luxury spec and sometimes exceeding many luxury makes and models out there. These cells that they're getting from Panasonic, which sounds like they could be the cylindrical cells, I'm not 100% sure, but they're going to be assembled at the Mazda plant in Iwakuni, which is halfway between Mazda's Hofu plant and its main plant in Hiroshima. So this is similar almost to what Toyota's doing. Toyota's getting their battery, at least in the United States, they're sending the cells from the plant there in North Carolina to Indiana to Kentucky, maybe even to Canada when they start building EVs up there. Then at the plant, they package those cells into the battery pack. They say it's a lot cheaper to do it that way, and it gives them a lot of flexibility instead of being stuck with this big old battery pack, and then they can't make modifications to it before production. And this plant's efficiency will help Mazda deflect the blow of the 25% Trump import tariffs on vehicle and auto parts, which is obviously USA is Mazda's biggest, most important market. The 25% figure, Hironaka-san said, is outrageous. We will control what we can. That's all you can do. That's a great quote for life. Control what you can, surrender what you can't. The key is not having any waste in fixed cost or capital investment. In that sense, this Hofu number 2 plant is a plant that is at the forefront of their new approach. They think by 2030, EVs are going to be about 25% of their sales volume. I maybe remember their first EV, or I should say first real EV, because the MX-30 is discontinued. And it lives on as a range extender with a rotary engine in other markets, the MX-30. But the 100-mile range EV, which I actually saw one here in Naples not that long ago. I'm like, what? I guess it's a good grocery getter, and that's about it. But this new EV coming in 2027 and additional EVs, they're only expecting it to be 25%. Is that too high? Is that too low? Remember, a few years ago, they said, yeah, by 2030, it's going to be anywhere from 25 to 40%. That's a huge range of sales volume, but they're just accounting for the unpredictability of the market and of governments. And since they don't have, they're not spending so much on a dedicated EV plant or EV lines, this will allow them to use the Hofu plant close to 100%, whether they use that plant for 25% EVs or 50% EVs, depending on the market demand, they can pump out whatever they need to from the Hofu plant. And that's exactly what Honda's doing at Marysville. However, right now there's growing pains because the TLX, Integra, and the Accord sales are just in the gutter right now, sadly. And so, like, here's the thing. You have like this small company like Mazda that has this flexibility in this Hofu plant that they could do tons of BEVs or not, hardly any BEVs in this production line. Then you have like Tesla. Tesla's in the dumps right now, pretty much globally. Not like in Norway. I think Norway, they are actually up, but like that's a small market compared to most of Europe and China where they're down, and the United States where Tesla is down. Tesla has no flexibility. It's Model 3, Model Y, mainly, and Cybertruck, at least in the United States. They cannot pivot. They can't be like, okay, well, we're going to do range extender now. They can't do that. They're 100% battery electric. There's no ifs, ands, and buts about it. And that is really dangerous in the market right now with political situations as well as customer demand catching up. Now, well, I didn't even mention this. The political situation is not, yes, you could say it's the United States with tariffs, but there's that domino effect happening as well because in China, they're limiting their rare earth metal exports. So you can't make battery packs or electric motors at the rates that we're used to. I just saw the Suzuki Swift has been taken offline because they can't get the rare earth metals they need to produce these vehicles. It's absolutely insane. And that's the thing. When you have such a global supply chain and you rely on China for all these rare earths to make these battery electric vehicles or even hybrids, it only takes just one decision to not have those elements available to you to build your car. And then we're back in the chip shortage dark ages again, except now it's rare earth metal shortages. It's just insane. So I'm driving a Volvo EX30 this week, and I've only driven up and down the street a couple times because I was in California for Nissan. Yeah, here's the article. You know, Volvo is only at 13% of the capacity at its South Carolina plant. They're just wasting money in Ridgeville. And they are laying off people. I heard that they're laying off like 4,000 people at this plant. They only build the EX90 and Polestar 3 there. Those are fully battery electric vehicles. They canceled the S60, but they should be building the XC60 and the XC90 there. The fact that they're not is they're just burning money at this plant. You have to be over 50% plant utilization to just break even. They're at 15, sorry, they're less than 50, they're at 13%. And here's Mazda in Japan saying, hey, we're at near 100% at this Hofu plant, and we're flexible with any sort of powertrain. So in Hofu, in the prefecture of Yamaguchi, they have two plants. Hofu 1 makes the Mazda 2, Mazda 3, and the CX-30. Hofu 2 produces the company's new line of large crossovers, the CX-60, 70, 80, and 90. Mazda upgraded Hofu 2 in 2021 to build these large vehicles as well as the upcoming range of EVs. Now, it doesn't say here, but with the sales volume being down on the CX-30 and the Mazda 3, that's in the Hofu 1 plant. It's quite possible that they are reworking Hofu 1 to be able to handle EVs and plug-in hybrids as well. And that would explain why the sales volume on the CX-30 is down 50% this past month and 30% on the year, and the Mazda 3 hatchback especially is getting tanked. So rest assured, Mazda's not going anywhere anytime soon. And the vast majority of the vehicles, including their upcoming BEVs and PHEVs, those will be built in Japan at the Hofu plants. I know that's good news for a lot of you guys, but the fact that we just saw Mazda go from the month prior up 20%, the next month essentially down 20%, it's just bonkers. It's crazy. It's a bit scary with the unpredictability of the market, but Mazda's not going anywhere. Their product lineup is strong. The Mazda 3 absolutely needs an update. The Mazda CX-30 absolutely needs an update. The Mazda CX-5, we're a little bit behind there with the refresh and the hybrid coming for it. But Mazda seems to be firing on all cylinders with their insanely technological and highly efficient manufacturing processes in Japan. In the meantime, we have the CX-50 hybrid to kind of carry the weight, and they're already excellent large platform vehicles. So I'll see you guys in the comments. I'll see you guys in the comments. Thank you for watching, and I cannot wait to see where the rest of the year is going to take Mazda.